The truth lies in the water, and Bonnie Posey is determined to find it. For more than a decade, she's filled one jar after another to show how the cleanest water known on Earth could be at risk.
So this is kind of my own little clinical study that reminds me when I lose courage and I lose hope, I look at the water and I think, oh, you know what, you got to keep going. We're not making this up.
The jars are full of water drawn from Bonnie's wells at her farm near Elmvale, Ontario, where she and her family have lived for nearly 30 years. The water, she says, always used to be crystal clean, but the collection of jars track an unpredictable and undeniable change. Some days the water runs clear, others it's full of silt or sediment.
Now here it's particularly dirty, black sediment. So it's not always silt, so there's stuff moving in the flow. We need to protect it, and it needs to start somewhere. And maybe it's in all my little jars.
Bonnie says her water started changing in 2009 when a nearby quarry, now owned by Dufferin Aggregates, started drawing massive amounts of water to wash gravel. She and several other affected residents suspect wash water has been leaking into the underlying groundwater flow system.
This is where we've stored our washing machines and our appliances that have not sustained with the silt.
Bonnie has a filtration system, but it didn't stop the silt from seeping in. She's spent tens of thousands of dollars on appliances.
Since 2010, there's been 9 washing machines, outdoor furnaces, anything with a pump, dishwasher, the toilets, the silt would accumulate.
And there were times she had to buy bottled water to drink. Eventually, she got rid of her cattle because they stopped drinking the water.
So up here we have the second well on site. It's the stuff on the bottom that causes us grief, and this is silt.
Bonnie complained to Ontario's Environment Ministry. It found no evidence quarry operations are impacting local water quality and says poor well construction or maintenance is to blame. Dufferin points to that explanation in its reports and asserts its aggregate activities are not affecting the water.
So that's all the silt that's settled, and now I've disturbed it.
But Bonnie hired an expert who challenges that explanation, and now she's left with more questions than answers.
We just need to look after it. We need to protect it for our children. It is a canary in the coal mine. Who's going to be the eyes and the voice for the water?
The water here is a source of pride and reverence, and its appeal is unmistakable. A water kiosk in Elmvale draws people from across the province every day. And while there is no indication the water is unsafe to drink, the concern is that its very source is under threat.
We need to protect this analog until we know more about it.
Mike Powell is part of a team of experts who have been studying the water in Elmvale for decades. He says an extraordinary aquifer produces what scientists consider to be the purest water in the world.
This water has been determined to be the cleanest water yet described on the surface of the earth. They said it's the only water in which we can find no fingerprint of human beings. Let's get a sample of this.
Mike is now preparing a new study to figure out what makes the water here so clean.
Well, there we go.
He's collecting samples from nearly 30 locations, including Bonnie's farm.
This would be a very, very important recharge area.
And he's examining the layers of rock and soil that filter the water.
In order to understand this natural algorithm of why this water that hits the surface of the ground is this pristine water is going to take a lot of different kinds of science.
The study would take 5 years and could answer whether quarry operations are having an impact.
This is a very clayey soil.
As Mike gathers more samples at another farm, residents gather to share their frustration and fear.
The fact that area wells have been contaminated with silt.
At least a dozen wells have been affected, and the fear is more could be because the province recently renewed Dufferin's water-taking permit.
Their criteria doesn't even contain anything that would protect that water.
A residents' association and the township are appealing that decision before Ontario's Land Tribunal. Ultimately, they want to halt all aggregate operations, at least until Mike and his team finish their study.
The Ministry of the Environment, our provincial government, has not stepped forward.
Anne Nahue says this is about livelihood and legacy.
We're in the farming community, and I want my kids to be able to farm in the area. They produce milk. This is a breadbasket. Clean water is so important.
And their concerns are growing as quarries in the area plan to expand. The Sargent Company is not operating here yet, but tracts of land have been clear-cut in preparation. It says to address residents' concerns, rather than drill a well into the aquifer, it wants to dig a shallow surface pond to collect rain and groundwater to wash gravel. As for Dufferin, it says it minimizes water use wherever possible, adding its water-taking operations comply with all legal and environmental requirements.
But the question is, do those regulations go far enough? The province says it has recently strengthened legislation to protect natural water resources, including what it calls a more robust application process for requests to extract aggregates below the water table.
But Mike says until more is known, any risk remains unknown.
Right behind you are 2 aggregate taking operations that are stripping away the soils and the trees and disrupting the groundwater flow. And there's an assertion that these operations will not alter the quality or quantity of water. We will be doing the first study of its type to show whether that's true or not.
And in the meantime, while you try to get that data, who's keeping the water safe?
Nobody. Nobody at all.
But people are trying. Beth Brass-Elson is a member of the Beausoleil First Nation, and she's defended the water here before.
We'll protect this water. That's why those poles are planted. Our intentions are there.
The spirit poles stand as sentinels. Beth helped put them up after camping out in protest against a proposed landfill project here in 2009.
I see myself as a Native woman who was put here on this earth at this time to do this kind of work, and we're going to have to do it again, over and over and over again, and it's really hard.
What's hard about it?
Hard on the heart, hard on the finances, hard on your family, just hard, yeah.
Beth says the battle then and now is about putting clean water before industry.
They're washing gravel with the purest water, and yet they can't even look after our First Nations in the north that don't have good drinking water. Nothing makes sense anymore, nothing.
There is no denying the demand for aggregate is huge, but people here say they want to work with the quarries and the province to protect an extraordinary water ecosystem and to learn from it.
We're not against aggregate taking, and we're not against infrastructure development. We're saying that this is a place that is unique on the surface of the earth as far as we know. And that aggregate that's sitting in this hill, which is available everywhere else, is easily gettable. Once it's gone, it's gone. It should be held up as a model of what real water quality can be and not destroyed. That just makes no sense. Not for a few trucks of gravel.
Back at Bonnie's farm, the fight over the years has taken a toll on her finances and her health. Many days, she says, feel like a test of faith.
We've been blessed with wonderful water to drink. And if we lose the quality of our water for industry, I'm very disappointed in mankind. I think there's a lot at stake for people. It's not just our little farm here. This aquifer has been proven as, you know, the world's purest water. How many places in the world can you find that? We should be celebrating that, not fighting to protect it. I just keep collecting my water and keep hoping.
And she says she'll keep fighting for the same water that keeps her going. Joanna Rumeliotis, CBC News, Elmvale, Ontario.